ready to be promoted? Oh my goodness. I hope everybody who's watching today has a desire to be promoted and is excited about finding out what the steps are in a promotion interview so that you can achieve success. I am Dawn Marie Morris. I am the Chief Training Officer of the World Class Training Institute, and I am the curator of the Leaders Lounge, which you are watching. And the Leaders Lounge seeks to inspire and motivate leaders in a safe place with nuggets of information that are going to help you to grow and be your most successful selves. So, tune in every week. Go ahead and subscribe right now to the Leaders Lounge if you have not already, so that you can be notified every time we are delivering some of these delicious nuggets of wisdom for you. Let's just go ahead and put this up so you can subscribe right now. Worldclasstraining.net is our website. My latest book is Unpacking Agape, the 7 Languages of Intentional Leadership. You can pick that book up at worldclasstraining.net/agape. It's scrolling across the screen for you right now. It is an excellent book on how to, especially for new and emerging leaders, juxtapose the flat style of the individual contributor mindset leadership to that of being a 3D leader or an intentional leader with my intentional leadership model included in here. And in addition to that, the 7 languages are 7 behaviors that leaders can and should exemplify if they are operating from the position of being an agape or a servant leader, which is what we should all seek to do. So you should go to worldclasstraining.net/agape and pick that up. Now, who's ready to be promoted? I hope all of you all are. And if you're not, if you know somebody who's at an organization and looking to move up, bring them on into the room, because this is going to be great information. And it's, believe it or not, going to just whet your appetites, because coming up on President's Day is going to be Priming for Promotion, where we are going to be in the virtual space helping you all to be ready for that interview. So it's going to be on President's Day. I'm just going to put the whole title here for you all so you can go and know what you're registering for. And then go ahead and register, because it's going to be an amazing time. It's going to be an amazing time. I'll be showing that a couple of times as we go through today. But again, that is going to today is going to whet your appetite for what we are going to talk about on President's Day. Priming for Promotion, you can get all the information at worldclasstraining.net/grow. All right. So now let's keep it moving. When you are looking to move up in an organization or looking to be promoted in an organization, and how do I know? Well, because I've been promoted 3 times in an organization within 2 years. So I am very familiar with the interview process as an internal promote. And I am familiar with what it takes to be successful in an interview as a former recruitment manager and a facilitator who has delivered several programs on interviewing effectively. So I am, as they say, not new to this. I am true to this. And I am excited to be able to share this with you all at Priming for Promotion. So let's get into some of the tips that you can use to communicate your value as you are looking to move up in an organization. So the first one is you want to be able to get excited about your story. As you are going day to day in an organization, sometimes it gets lost on us that what we're doing has story. What we're doing has meaning. And we have to, when we're getting in an interview to move up in an organization, be able to put the tasks that we've been doing over the last year or 6 months or couple of years into story format so that the people who are receiving the information receive it in a way that actually inspires and motivates them. If you're not inspiring them, especially if you're talking about moving into a leadership role, it's difficult for them to see you as someone who can lead, motivate, and inspire others, which is your responsibility as a leader in an organization. So, how do you do this? How do you get excited about your story? Well, when you are talking through your answers to questions that are asked, you have to formulate it in a way that paints a picture to the people to whom you are speaking. So how is that done? What you want to do is take that STAR format, the situation, task, action, and result, that is a part of the behavioral interview, and put that in a way that it brings life to whatever the task is that you had to do for that moment. So, for instance, if you are asked the question, tell me about a time when something you did had a positive effect on others around you. What was it that you had to do, and how did it lead to creating a better corporate climate? Here's how you answer that. Well, it's great that you asked that question. That kind of gives you an opportunity to get settled into it. About 2 months ago, I was asked to help be on the committee for our new onboarding process. During that time, I was able to share some ideas that I had actually from another company that I found to be very successful. One of those ideas was to, on the first day of onboarding, share company insights, a little on the history, a little on some of the successful people who have been a part of the company, even some of the people who have 5 and 10-year anniversaries, so that the new people could see themselves in those individuals. And by me sharing that information, we were all able to put together a way that it fit for this organization and deliver it to our onboarded employees. It just lit a fire in the onboarding day for people because they walked out knowing that they had a place here. So I love being able to bring nuggets of wisdom from my past and let it guide me to forward think how I am going to be able to make a difference in this organization. And so you see how I was able to create a story and share the story in a way that made it more exciting than just perhaps saying, I was on a committee and the committee wanted to have some ways to onboard people. So I had this little idea where, I had at my last job, and I shared that with them, where we were able to talk about some people who had been there before and people who were experienced in the company, and shared that information. So they really liked that. And it made a difference. I don't know, but I wouldn't get excited about that. But it's told the same story, but it didn't have the same level of inspiration. So when you are thinking about giving your answers in a promotion interview, you want to make sure that you, A, are excited about it yourselves, B, are able to share how it made a difference in the current organization, and if possible, share how it made a difference in your team members or other constituents. That way, It's more than an answer, it's a moment. All right? That's the first thing. The second thing goes right along with that. You want to quantify your impact. So, when you're talking about quantifying your impact, what you are doing is, even if you're not in a sales department, or you're not in a department where you are having to maintain a certain level of productivity every day, you still have a quantifiable result for the organization. So, for instance, I have always been under the human resources umbrella once I left customer service, which means that we don't necessarily have, you have to fix so many of these per day, or you have to sell so many of these per day. What we have are impact items or returns on expectations based on our ability to, one, as a trainer, we have to present our information in a way that makes an impact, dotted line to the people in other departments. So if we're doing, for instance, a training on customer service skills, and that particular training is about helping the customer service representatives to be able to take calls more effectively, or to be able to upsell, we may not in that particular class be able to quantify that that has happened. But if we're tracking it, then we can say that the training that we did led to an overall uptick in additional items being sold for that quarter by 25%, because we have watched the numbers and we've been able to dotted line our activities to the overall company's impact. Another area, if we're training leaders and leaders have problems with conflict resolution, which means that human resources has had more complaints in their department. If we do a training on conflict resolution and we notice that within the quarter, the human resources department's conflict resolution, conflict complaints have gone down, or I should say instances of complaints have gone down, then we can quantify our impact. So you have to think about, for whatever it is you're doing in your department, even if it's not something where day to day you have certain numbers that you have to achieve, overall, how is what you're doing contributing to either increased productivity or decreased expenses or increased revenue for the organization? You want to be able to quantify your impact. And when you come to priming for promotion, you are going to have time to actually practice quantifying your impact. So what we're going to do is take some of your activities and then spend some time formulating now what was the return on investment or return on expectation for the company for whatever the tasks were that you were doing. And sometimes it's hard for us to do that as we're just going about day by day, which is why this training is so impactful and so important. All right. So I don't want to have to keep screaming. Next thing is you have to connect your strengths to the future, not the past. So if you notice, when I talked about the story, the get excited about your story, we were focused on how we were able to build our onboarding so that it was more enjoyable and impactful for the new employees. When we're talking about how that's going to benefit if we're looking to get promoted, then I add another layer onto my answer where I'm going to connect my strengths to how it's going to help them in the future. And so, as I did say a little bit, I have been really great at using my past experiences to forward think about how it can help this organization. I might even go a little deeper as I'm looking to connect the strengths to the future and say, particularly in this role, because I am a visionary and a creative thinker, and I know that that's something that you all are really looking for, I am going to be able to bring that here so that it makes our decisions that much easier to derive. Because if we can have good visionary thinking, then all of the weight won't be on you as the head of this department. I will be able to help you and collaborate with you to make the whole greater than the sum of its parts. So you see how I was able to bring my past experience and then talk about how now, because this is what you're looking for as a visionary and a collaborator, I'll be able to bring that to this role. So you want to be able to connect the strengths to the future and not the past. So when again you come to priming for promotion, another thing that we are going to do is really help you start building that bridge from your past experiences to your future. Because again, that's another area that people can really get stuck in, like, okay, well, I did that, but I'm not really sure how that's going to help me in this next role. Well, there is something called transferable skills, and we're going to talk about how to bring those transferable skills over so that you are able to maximize your past successes for your promotion in the future. Sound exciting? Yes. All right. Last one here is you have to practice. You have to practice. I was reading a book called, it's by Grant Cardone. I can't think of the actual name of it right now. But that book talked about how, as business owners, as entrepreneurs, as salespeople, we have to practice. It's one thing for me to read the book. It's one thing for me to listen to him on a video or even on a YouTube short or YouTube clip, but it's another thing for me to put my voice to what I'm reading and execute that. So he says you have to just practice over and over and over and over again. And that's what you have to do before you go in for the interview. Because it's one thing to read over some interview questions and think in your head, you know how to answer those questions, or even write them out and say, hey, this is going to be my situation, my task, my action, and my result. But if you have not actually practiced it out loud, then once it starts coming out, it starts sounding funny. And then you backtrack and you make it fluttered in the interview. And especially if it's a group interview, oh my goodness, it can be taxing on the brain. So you want to practice out loud, which is the other benefit of coming to this training, because we're going to, right there in the virtual space, help you by practicing some of the more typical interviewing questions and helping you to add your, as they say, add your English to it and be able to communicate it in a way that builds story, that quantifies your impact, and that helps people to understand how you are going to connect your strengths to the future and not the past. Sound good? Yes. So you can do this. You can get promoted and you can go to the next level right where you are. As they say, you want to grow where you are planted, and we are going to help you do that. So make sure to register for Priming for Promotion. Again, it's on this President's Day, February the 16th at 1 o'clock p.m. All the information is in the website. It will also be linked below, so you can go and register for that. But yeah, make sure that you are ready for the next level. And it's not just going to come to you. Don't blame other people if you don't get there and you have not practiced, because it's there for you. You can do this. and I will be right here to help you. So I hope this has been a great appetite wetter for you. Run right now and go and register. And always remember that at the World Class Training Institute, when you are better, we're absolutely better. Take care. Bye.